Hello everybody, welcome to Fusion 360, and you guys created your accounts. Hopefully you followed through with that video, and now we're here to kind of start using the program and get started drawing, designing. So what you see before you is something hopefully similar to what you may see on your screens. Mine's completely blank. You may see some things and I'll show you how to turn them on and off. So the origin point may be visible for you. Right now mine is not checked, so if I were to click that button, it toggles this on. And maybe yours was already like that and you could toggle it off. We'll leave it on. And so if you want to do that, you can do that as well. And then you also may see some lines on your screen. I'm not sure how yours is defaulted to set up, but to turn that on and off, you go down to this button and you click here. And just by checking and unchecking this box, we get our grid on there. And so we'll go ahead and leave that up as well. And the first thing I want you guys to do is to get used to using this over here. This is our data panel, okay? And if it's not shown, if it's like this, okay, what we do is we go up here to this little waffle up here and we click that, and our data panel comes back to life. I've already got some stuff on here because I've been using it. We're going to go ahead and get started with our drawing. So when you are using Fusion 360, basically you have to choose, how it works is you make a sketch, and then this is the button to make a sketch, and then you take this flat sketch, like if you could imagine a drawing on a piece of paper, you make the drawing on a piece of paper, and then you hit one of these buttons, and it pulls this thing into 3 dimensions, makes it, gives it depth, makes it more of like a real object, if you will. And so to draw on a piece of paper, we have a version of, if you can think about the piece of paper, if we drew in this one, it would be flat, okay? And if we drew in this one, it's up like this, okay? So that's this one that my mouse is over. This was this one, okay? And if we drew in this back one, it would be like this, okay? And so basically those are the planes that you draw in. You can think about it again being a piece of paper. And so we're going to draw in this one. So what we're going to do first is we're going to click right here to create a sketch. And let's draw it flat. So I want to select that one. Okay, and then it kind of snaps me around and I see these things right here. Yours may look different, okay? You might have some different numbers here. I want to show you how to change that and how to decide which units you want to use. So we go up here where it says Document Settings, and we click on the arrow, and the thing that pops down is units, and mine is currently in inches. If you wanted to change it, you take your mouse over to this little pencil thing over the sheet, click there, and it says Change Active Units. And so yours might look like this when you got started. You might have millimeters everywhere. But let's make that so it's inches. Oh, excuse me, we want to be in millimeters for this drawing. I apologize. So we're going to leave this as millimeters. If you were in inches, follow those steps to change it to millimeters. Okay? And so we're good on that now. We can kind of get rid of that. And what we're going to do to start this drawing is, let's begin with just using a line tool. Okay? And so that's right there. So we're going to click on line, and I'm going to roll my mouse until I zoom out a little bit. And I'm going to start right on this. Let's not start on that dot. Let's kind of go up a little bit. And let's just drag it out somewhere. It doesn't have to be anywhere in particular. Mine went to 190, and that's fine. And then go up and in and down. And a couple of things here. When you're using Fusion, it wants to do a couple of things. So it snaps you to being totally flat, right? And then this symbol right here, see that right angle symbol that's right in there? That means that I'm totally straight. And so I was very careful to do that when I first started drawing. Let's start that again. So I'm going to hit Control Z and undo these last few lines. And I'm going to start fresh to show you what I mean. And so see how I'm dragging it out and it has those blue symbols? Those are called constraints. And what those constraints mean is that I'm drawing straight. And so as soon as I move up a little bit, it's telling me what degree I'm at, all that good stuff. Basically letting you know that you're not flat anymore. And so I want mine to be flat, so I'm going to do that again. I'm going to draw that out again, making sure it's flat, and then pulling it straight up again so I see that right angle, not off like this. I want that right angle symbol showing somewhere up there. And I want everything to be nice and flat using those symbols, okay? And we're drawing around. I just want it to look like this shape. I have plenty of time afterwards to go back and tidy this up. And what I'm going to do now is just end it somewhere up here. And now I didn't end perfectly above this, and that's okay, we'll go back and fix it. But we want to make sure we click on that dot that we started with to finish this particular sketch. And we're going to go back and fix this, okay? What we're ultimately going to have this look like is this part right here. And I'll show you how we're going to get to that, okay? I guess we can leave it over here on this screen. And so how do we get all this to what we want, right? So let's start like this. First thing, we know that we need this to be, from this side to this side. Number one, those are straight up and down, right? Parallel. And number two, they're 200 millimeters apart. So let's go over here, and all these little symbols, these are constraints that are shown, okay? And so if you just hover over them and click it once, you can get rid of them if you ever needed to. Like if I wanted to get rid of this one, because you can grab these lines and move them. So I'm just clicking on the left side of my mouse and holding that line and dragging it in and out, right? And if I got rid of that and hit delete, then I could also grab this dot and kind of change some angles and things like that. I'd have to get rid of this one too. So I'm hitting delete. And you can move things anywhere you want. I want those to come back though. So I'm just hitting Control Z on my keyboard. And that's the same as clicking on this right here, going back. So those constraints came back, okay? And so what we also want to do then is constrain this thing to be at 90 degrees to this, just like the rest of these lines are, okay? And so how we do that is up here. This is our constraints toolbar, right? And so horizontal, vertical, we could do that. So let's go ahead and click the horizontal constraint and just click that once, and it adds a horizontal, meaning that this is perfectly straight up and down, as is this, and then these are all 90 degrees from that, meaning that everything's kind of nice and square in here, all right? And we can uncheck that, hit escape to get off of that constraint, and now we can get to work with this number, 200 millimeters from edge to edge. So we want to go up here to create, and we're going to create a dimension, all right? And you can dimension from point to point if you want, from line to line. And for this one, let's go line to line. So to create a dimension, I'm going to click on this line first, and it automatically defaults to thinking that this is the dimension it wants. And by clicking this second line, okay, now it's saying from here to here, what is the dimension? And so I'm going to move it down with my mouse, and I'm going to left click right there, and that places the dimension. But then I can also, it automatically turns blue. I can go to my keyboard and type 200 and then hit enter. And now it's making this line to this line 200 millimeters, right? And that is what we want, okay? So now from here to here, we know we have 200. And from the top of these little tabs to the bottom, it says we need that at 90. Okay, so let's do that. We'll keep adding dimensions. So we'll click on this line, go down and click on this line, left, clicks again, move it over here, and we want that to be 90. So I hit 90, 90, enter. It's kind of got all this messed up in here. And let me show you how we can check how things are going. So I'm going to hit escape on my keyboard and get rid of this. And now, if I were to try to drag this line up and down, okay, what it does is, sorry about that. So now we have this line to this line dimensioned, and you can see if you move one, that stays relative. That dimension is stuck. I could still move things like this. All my other lines I can check to see if they've been dimensioned, right? And because all these lines are blue, it means that nothing's really stuck anywhere yet, except for this to this and this to this. So we got to keep adding some dimensions here. We want this line to be right in the same place as this. And so how we're going to do that is we're going to take this and select this and this. Oh, that's the wrong constraint, sorry. And so by taking this line to this point, we're saying that we want those to be in line with each other. And that constraint is called coincident. I was trying to use the wrong one there. So I saw just a little review here. Let's undo that. Okay, and just do it again so you guys can see it. We're saying that this line, which has already been dimensioned, I want to be coincident to this point right over here. See how those line up with each other now? And if I were to hit escape again to get rid of my constraints, and now I try to move this line, see how this moves with it? And this is still free, and this is still free. And if I move this one's still with it. So we're just adding dimensions as we go, dimensions and constraints, if you will. So let's go back here and check, and now we need this bottom one to be 50 millimeters from our long edge on the bottom down here. Okay? So let's go ahead and get back to our dimension tool. Select this line and this line, and we'll take it over here somewhere and placed it with those left clicks. Now I'm going to hit 5, 0, enter, and now that is dimensioned. All right. And if I hit escape, now you can see that everything's kind of working together. Not these ones yet though. So let's go back and look at our drawing and kind of see what we got. And it's saying each one of this right here is 40 millimeters from here to here. And since they don't have this dimensioned over here, that means that they want it to be the same. So let's go back to our drawing and get a dimension. And so we'll go from this edge to this edge, take it up here, and type in 40 and enter. And now those are locked in. And we're going to do the same thing down here. We'll just dimension this as well. All right, 40, enter. I'm going to hit escape and start checking some things out. So now as I move things, there's a lot less things moving around. As I grab any of these and move them, right, the whole thing is shaky. And we're okay with that. That's just fine. As long as everything is together, we are good. And so now let's kind of take a look at this again. And we need to add some curves to this and then add some holes. So let's take a look at these curves first. This right here is telling me that it's an R10. And what that stands for is a radius of 10 millimeters. And then at the 6 places, that means that it's the same measurement in 6 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 places. All have the radius of 10 millimeters. Okay? So if we go back here, how are we going to do that now? Fusion has a really nice tool to do that. And it's called this fillet tool right here. So we're going to modify some of our lines. So I'm going to click on that. Okay? And then I'm going to, let's just click one of these corners, right? And it asks me, what do you want it at? And it defaulted to 10, which is perfect. So I can hit enter on that. And now that is 10 millimeters. And we can kind of keep going here. So if I click this one, I can actually keep going. And it knows that I want these all to be the same then. And now if I were to change this, let's say I made this 15, I could keep going and it would change a few of these. But we want to leave that at 10. Okay, and so all of these now have 10, and this little symbol right here means equal. So they dimensioned this one, and this one is staying equal to this, and this one is staying equal to this and this, so on and so forth. So that all these are 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, just like it wanted. And let's go back to this. And now it's saying that in 2 places, these bottom curves down here, they have a radius of 15 millimeters. So let's go back and do our radius tool again, our fillet tool, excuse me, and go to this corner. And now we want it to be 15. So it's blue. I'm just going to type over that and hit 15. Okay. And then I'm going to also select that one as 15 and hit enter. So now it's saying this one's dimensioned to 15, and this one is now equal to this one. Okay? So they are both at 15. And so now, if we were to hit escape, again, everything is kind of moving together, except we lost our constraint right there, right? Because we constrained this line to that point right there, and then we got rid of that point. Okay? So let's take this, whoops. I think we could also use collinear, which is 2 lines in a row. So let's try that constraint now. And we'll do this one, and this one, saying that we want those in line with each other. So we'll use the collinear constraint this time. And if I hit escape and my arrow key, and now let's see how everything's moving. Is it all locked together? It appears to be. Nothing's really moving around, and that's what we want. And to avoid having this thing be blue, we could do some changes, and we might do that in a minute. But let's not worry about that yet. Let's go ahead and put our holes in there according to this. And so it's saying that this symbol right here means a diameter. So this hole has a diameter of 15 millimeters. And the other thing that these images are telling us, okay, so if I look at where this radius is pointing to, as this is the center point, it's saying that these circles are right on the center point of this radius, and that'll be important in a second. So as we go back in here, let's go up to, this is our circle tool, so if I select that, I can just pick anywhere in here, and I can drag it out. And I could dimension this the same way we used our dimension tool earlier, but as I move this around, notice that the text, the font there, is also blue. And we want that to be a 15 diameter. So I can go ahead and hit 15 right now, and then hit enter, and it locks that circle in at 15. And I'm going to do the same thing somewhere over here. Whoops. And now 15, enter. And now that turned out as a construction line. I think I messed up and hit the wrong button there. So what I want to do is hit escape. And I'm going to select that circle, and to get rid of those as a construction line, I'm going to go over here and toggle that off so that it becomes a normal line. You probably didn't have that problem. I think I hit a key on accident there. Alright, and now we want to move these 15 millimeter circles so that this point is right on top of this point, and that's the center point for this radius. So in order to do that, let's, I believe it's this one right here, our coincident constraint. Let's grab that, and then go to that point, and that should snap that right over there. And then we'll grab this one, to that, and that should snap that right in there. And let's hit escape on our keyboard. And now let's see if everything moves together. Alright, that's what we want. And now if we were to look at this drawing real quick, that's pretty much all the drawing tools that we need. The next thing we need to do to make it look like this, to give it this thickness, is to use that tool I was talking about earlier, and it's to pull this out 40 millimeters. And so let's go back and check that out, okay? So let's go back to Fusion. And before we do that, I want to lock this in so that everything is stationary, so that you can't move it anymore. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this point, and I'm going to snap it right to our origin point. And we can do that by hitting coincident. We can take this point to our origin, and it snaps down there. And now you can see if I hit escape, everything is black, and I can't move anything now. Everything's stationary on that origin point. And this is a good way to kind of, if you set a point like this, it's a good way to then know if anything is non-constrained. We want to try to make everything all black all the time when we're using Fusion, okay? And so I'm done with this sketch. So I can go over here to finish sketch, hit that button, and then I'm going to go up here with my mouse and hover over the home key. And I'm going to left click the home key, and it kind of takes me to this angle, and I'm going to zoom back out. This right here is a really nice way to move around, and we'll look more at that later. It could take you to a top view, all sorts of things like that. What we're going to do right now is we're going to make this object three-dimensional, okay? So we're going to go up here to extrude, all right? And now it's going to ask us some questions about what we want to extrude. We want it on here, not to thin something out. We want it on this one. It should automatically be there. And it's asking us, this is highlighted blue, which profiles we want to extrude. And we want to be careful what we pick. We don't want these holes, then it's going to get weird. We want this body like this, and everything turns blue. Okay? And then this, the text right here, the numbers, are asking how much you want to pull it up. So I could type in right there. But I could also grab this arrow, and I can just pull it up and kind of look at it any way I want. Or I can then go back and click on this. Or you can actually enter everything over here, right? And so right now we just want it to go one direction. We're going to take it up the way that I started to pull it, okay? And we're going to leave distance alone right there, but you can actually change it if you need to. We're just going to leave it. And right there, I'm going to actually type in 40, okay? And I could have done the same thing over there. See how they match up? When I changed one, it changed the other. Leave this at 0. Leave this at new body, all that good stuff. I'm going to hit OK. And now I've got my drawing is complete. If I go back and look at this, this now looks like what I have, right? And so we can do that again. And this is now a good time to kind of play with how we can look at things. So I could literally If I just click this top face, it's going to move me around to a top view. If I go back to the home and I say, okay, give me a front view, that's what it looks like from the front. I can go back and click on home. Or you can just left click on this anywhere, hold down on it, drag it, move it around, and now I'm pivoting, looking at all of this, okay? And there's a few kind of shortcuts for this too, right? So if I were to, on my mouse, if I push in on the scroll wheel and hold it and move it around, I can then move like they call this panning, okay? And I can also, by scrolling in or out while doing that, okay, it's called dynamic scrolling. And so you can scroll in and out to zoom in and out. You can push in on the scroll wheel to move it around. And if I hold the shift key down on my keyboard and then push in on the scroll wheel, it's a shortcut to get to the orbiting tool, where I can kind of zip around and see any face that I want of it. So it's a good way to be able to kind of see the different looks at our object, okay? There's a lot more that we can talk about with Fusion. It's a very powerful program for drawing any kind of three-dimensional object. But what I want to do now is kind of just get you guys to save it, get you to turn it in, all that good stuff, and we can learn more as we go. So first, let's go up to this little save button. And I click that. And before I guess let's title it first. So let's just call it Learning Fusion 360. Dash Part 1 dash grading. And so you can put Learning Fusion 360 Part 1 with your last name. That would be great. And then we can decide where we want to put it. By hitting this arrow, we get all sorts of options. You're only going to have over here the tutorials project that we created, right? And then you might have a folder in there if you want. Mine's automatically in the folder that I want, which is Woods 1. So I'm going to save it just like that. And this should now update to show your drawings over here, and this is where everything's going to save, as we continue learning to use Fusion 360. And so now what I want to do is, let's see here. Let's click on these and drop these down so that we can see them. And then on this one, I'm going to click it once, and I'm going to right-click it this time. And I'm going to go down to Properties, and I'm going to click on it. And it shows me this right here. And this is telling me on this object, my area is this, my mass is this, my physical material, all that. We don't have to worry about all that. I just want you to have this properties window showing. And then we're going to go down here to this bottom left search window of our computer and start typing snipping. And at any point you want, you can see this tool pop up, and we're going to click on that. And then we're going to do a rectangular snip, and I'm going to hit New. And I'm going to go and drag this whole window. Oops, I messed up. There we go. And you're going to take a screenshot of this whole thing. All right. And mine's not working right now. But anyway, then it will ask you up here to save it. And you want to go up here and hit File Save of your screenshot you just took. And so your screenshot should show me that you've saved right, that you've created a Woods 1 folder, and that you've got a tutorials project right here. And then I'm also going to look to see that this information matches mine over here, and see that you're kind of doing everything that you need within this program, okay? And what you're going to do for our assignment is that screenshot, you're going to save that. It will probably go to your Downloads folder. I want you to attach that to our classroom assignment. So maybe I'll do another video that shows how to turn that in once we get all that done. All right, thank you.